Hey everyone, Luke here at the eDrum Workshop, hope you're having a great day. Today I'm going to be talking to you about the eDrum 3CS drum trigger. Here's one here, it's a 13-inch one, and I'm going to be giving you my first impressions on unboxing it, the build quality, installation, and some thoughts after my first playthrough with it. So let's get to it. So how many of you out there have managed to play on an ATV artist snare or any of the other 3-cone designs that are available at the moment? I haven't had a chance to yet, they're not exactly cheap and I don't really need one at the moment. But when I saw this 3CS drum trigger available, I thought that might be a great way to achieve an ATV style snare but at a more digestible price. Speaking of which, this trigger costs about €126.50, and I think in total I must have paid around £139 in order to get it shipped over to the UK and cover the PayPal transaction fees too. So it's a fair bit cheaper than an ATV snare, which at the minute I think the best I could do is getting it from Drum Tech for about £350. This trigger first came to my attention, I think it was back in May when somebody shared one of the photos on a Facebook group. But then it re-entered my mind when I saw the Digital Drummer review in their November issue. They gave it a good write-up, so I decided to drop eDrum a message to see about buying one. A few weeks later, and here it is. This is by no means going to be a full review of the trigger. I've not had anywhere near enough time to extensively test it yet. I'm going to be putting it through its paces with the TD50 and my Mimic when I get that back from the repair job. So treat this entirely as a first impressions, and I'm going to do a full review down the line. I've not seen a great deal of people talking about it yet other than Digital Drummer, so I thought it might be good to bring it to people's attention. From what I can tell, eDrum are a small company from Italy. It might just be a one-man operation, and all of the triggers are currently made to order. The trigger arrived in a simple box, a reused Amazon box, which is fine by me, reuse and recycle, and it was packed with enough bubble wrap to keep things in place and protected. When I picked the trigger up, immediately the build quality was apparent. This is a well-made piece of gear. It's mostly made of plastic with metal legs, possibly aluminium, and all of the fixings are movable. I really like the design of this. It's entirely non-destructive. You don't have to remove any parts other than the heads of your drums, and it uses these neat screws to push the legs outwards against the shell in order to keep it in its place. It comes with 3 pieces to place under your drum shell to set the required height for the 3 legs. This takes the guesswork out of getting things into the correct spot, and you only need to position them equally across from each other. I think that's a brilliant design choice. I was asked during the order process whether I would like a barrel jack to attach into my vent hole or one of their custom trigger boxes. Because I'd already removed my vent hole for a different DIY project, I went with the barrel jack insert. But the trigger boxes they provide appear to turn your 1/4-inch input into a mini jack in order to go straight through any standard vent hole. I think that's another fantastic approach. It means you don't need to remove your vent hole at all in order to fit it. And then the final elegant solution is in the form of having a mini jack connector going from that vent hole to the main trigger unit. It plugs in on the bottom of the unit, and this makes taking the whole thing apart very quick and again completely non-destructive. On some of my own DIY snares, I've just soldered wires directly from the trigger to the barrel jack, and if you've needed to remove the trigger or jack to change something, you've got to disconnect and resolder the wires. I don't think this is the only company using some kind of connector to make things easier, but I really like the simplicity of a mini jack and I think it keeps the whole thing compact. So overall impressions on build and installation are great, well thought out design and easy to install. My only tiny gripe is the exposed wires. I'm really clumsy, so I'm worried I might wreck it somehow, but at least I do know how to resolder wires. If you don't suffer from clumsiness, you've got little to worry about and there's plenty of safe sections to handle this trigger from. First playing impressions are positive, the trigger's very sensitive. I barely had to touch the default sensitivity setting on some presets on my Roland TD50. I just had to do some mild gain boost for the rims. I've used it on a few different settings, the PD128, the PD125 and 125X, the PDX8 and the Pad 2 settings all seem to get the pad going with minor tweaking. Because it's a 3-cone design, you're not going to get positional sensing from this. That requires a center cone in order for it to work properly. If you run a module without positional sensing, or if you use a trigger preset for a side mount trigger, then you don't need to worry about this anyway. There's been one small issue that I have run into, but I'm not going to go into it yet because I don't really believe in giving incomplete information out when I haven't explored all avenues possible. I've been playing with a few variables and I'm in contact with eDrum about it, so hopefully I've just missed something or I'm overlooking something, and I can get this resolved, and then I'll talk about it in my full review. Oh, I almost forgot to mention as well, in the box there was also this. A drum key holder to place on a hi-hat stand or other similarly sized pipe with a little Merry Christmas message. I love that, it's super handy and it's really sweet, so thanks eDrum. I like it when companies go out of their way to create a positive relationship with their customers. I'm really looking forward to digging into this trigger properly over the next few weeks, so be sure to check out the full review when it lands. I'll be going into much more detail and I'll be going into proper performance examples too. Initially, what do you think of the design of this trigger? Have you had any experiences with other 3-cone designs yet? What are your thoughts on them? Let me know down in the comments. If you enjoyed this, leave a like on the video, subscribe for more eDrum related content. There's plenty on the channel already to dig into if you're new here. Have an awesome day and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.